I should probably say something. Hey guys, thank you for tuning in with my training today. I am on week 2 of the Powerbuilding app. So as you know, I have made the transition. I'm going to be competing in a physique show probably later in the year, probably more towards December. Right now I'm in hypertrophy. Great thing about it is I don't have to worry about lifting super heavy. Bad thing about it is I gotta do a lot of pull-ups. So I'm gonna start with 5 sets of 8 on pull-ups. Also, side note, really trying to get this pull-up record, world record. So I think the record is what, babe?
36.
36 in 1 minute. I'm gonna do 37. Not today though, but I will.
Do you want to do a test, a pre-test today?
I have a headache, so I'm gonna go with no on the pre-test today. So if you're new to Powerbuilding, you're able to choose like what percentage you want geared more towards powerlifting movements. I have it set at a 40% powerlifting, 60% bodybuilding. So I actually don't start today's session with like a main movement, which would typically be bench press. I'm starting with pull-ups. So 5 sets of 8. You got it?
That's exactly how it looks when I do pull-ups as well. So I won't even demonstrate, just assume it's identical.
So within the app, there's like little timers that you can set for yourself if you want to like time in between what you're doing. So I usually like when I have 5 sets of 8 or like reps like that, sets like that, I will just set a timer for probably 45 seconds so that I'm kind of, you know, really increasing my work capacity, because if I want to get to 37 pull-ups in 1 minute, I definitely have to be working towards that. So that is the plan. I'm wearing my onesie today. I told Chad, I was like, well, if your training's not super exciting, you gotta make the outfit really cool. So Bombshell Sportswear, not sponsored. Chad has one. I feel like he should be wearing it too. Quick suggestion, if you're one of those people that are just like, oh my God, there's no way I can do 5 sets of 8 pull-ups, I can barely do 1 set of 8, my suggestion is take whatever your total number is within the app. So 5 sets of 8, that would be 40 total reps. So just break that up. If that means you're just doing sets of 1 or 3 to get to that total rep count, that's what you're gonna have to do, and that's how you're gonna build your ability to do more pull-ups within 1 single set. You can see even I get fatigued on that last set. It's more that the grip starts to feel terrible, so chalk up. I don't understand people who don't use chalk. I mean, maybe you all don't need it, but I have a chalking problem, and I will literally chalk to bench the bar. One thing I can say about doing pull-ups before benching is, obviously because my lats are like super pumped right now, that as I'm unracking and like really getting into that benching position, you can really feel like how much these are used to like stabilize yourself on the bench, because yeah, pumped. I would do a lat spread for you, but then it would block out Shorty's camera and probably the sun too, so can't do that. So one of the good things about Powerbuilding for me right now, because I did want to take a little bit of step away from like the main movements, is because I chose leaning more towards bodybuilding specific. I actually have 2 sets of bench, but I'm not worried about losing any type of strength because I'm doing heavier dumbbell pressing. I have a lot of push-up movements as well as like incline movements. So I'm pretty sure even if at the end of this, I wanted to do like a 3-rep max test, I would probably still have like pretty relatively good bench strength. Number 1 bench tip when you are doing a self handoff is pull it all the way, pull the bar all the way to the end of the J hooks. This way you don't hit them on your way up. Even if you're in Powerbuilding, always pause that first rep of every bench set, even the last one if you're feeling up to it, only because if you ever want to go back to competing, you don't want to be out of practice with the pauses. So pause the first rep, feel free to touch and go the rest. Wow, are you really gonna eat while I'm training?
Eggs, turkey sausage, spinach, maybe a smidge of cheese.
You lost the macaroni.
Oh my god. Swirling around here.
It's a 5-second roll.
Too much moisture for that.
I'm stealing his food. I didn't get any. Look, I'm just drinking a Gatorade over here. So I'm pretty warm from the benching, so I usually just go straight into like my working weight for the dumbbell pressing. But if you feel like you need another warm-up before you do that, 100% feel free, do the working sets, do a warm-up before you do your working sets, but yeah, I'm pretty warm. Also, when you're doing dumbbell pressing by yourself, use your thighs to get the weight up so it's not that much of a struggle. You're just gonna roll all the way back, hold it. And you can put your feet down. I just don't because it's harder for me to reach the floor. I have 3 reps in reserve for this, so stopped at 10. I felt like I could have done 3 more with that, so we'll see how the next sets go. Sticking with the same weight, sticking with the 3 reps in reserve, so as I get to that 4th set, it may mean I only do 8 reps, so that's how reps in reserve work. Stay with the same weight, and you work up to as many reps as you think you're gonna have the reps in reserve at the end.
So that's the main difference. Reps in reserve to RPE. Reps in reserve is open-ended. So like Marisa has 4 sets of 3 reps in reserve. You know, the app's telling her to use 50 pounds based on what she put in as a 10 rep max or what she's done in previous weeks. And she's just going. She's just doing reps, and when she gets to I feel like I can only do 3 more, the set stops. That could be 10, 9, 9, 8, 6, you know, whatever it is. Versus RPE is going to be with a rep target, like 5 rep max at 8 RPE means we're going to do 5 reps with a weight we feel like you could do 7 with, that you could do 2 more with. So that's the main difference in how they're implemented. Reps in reserve, a lot better for, you know, it could be used for primary lifts and hypertrophy, but and a better set for accessory work.
And also one thing about like what your max is, in the system it'll say like, what's your 10 rep max? You may not know that, or you may not know your 1 rep max for a hammer curl. I mean, who's max? Hopefully you don't. Who's maxing out on that? But I suggest just guessing what that might be for you. This way the system's gonna give you a number to work with. If you need to adjust that up or down, you can do that. And also make adjustments if you're dealing with an injury. So for me, 50 pounds is something that I probably would have not done typically. For 3 reps in reserve, I probably would have done like 60, 65. But because I've been dealing with a scapula issue, I went ahead and I adjusted my dumbbell pressing estimate down. This way I can work my way back up and not aggravate any pre-existing injury that I have. Oh, and if you don't have this beautiful display of dumbbells with a ton of different weights, and let's just say you're in your garage gym and 30s are your max dumbbells, you can still do the dumbbell pressing. You're just gonna have to do things a little bit different to make it a little bit more intense for yourself. So that can be done by controlling the tempo, really making sure you're getting a full range of motion, and maybe even pausing at the bottom. So there's ways to make it feel harder if you're limited by the amount of weight that you have at home. Only got 7 that time. Do I need more chalk?
Well,
Obviously. And I don't have clammy hands, just to get that out of the way. Oh, you must have like some really gross swamp hands. I don't. I just really enjoy chalk.
yeah, I'm surprised that you don't look like you just finished baking bread. Your onesie all covered in white powders.
I'm baking mussels.
Oh.
It takes some time to get to know like what is 3 reps in reserve. I know for me, like dumbbell pressing, particularly my triceps, tend to give out before my chest. So, you know, you can write that in your notes so you can kind of gauge when you go into the following week where it's like 1 to 2 reps in reserve. You can kind of see, okay, if I did 10, 10, 7, and 8, the following week I might want to try to get, you know, up to 8 and 9 on those last 2 sets, something like that. got some shrugs here.
So why do you like to do it with that little bit of forward lean?
Oh, yeah, so I was just gonna talk about that. So I like to have a little bit of a forward lean when I do the shrug so that I can feel it all back here. When I stand straight up and do it this way, I tend to get like neck kinks. Specifically my scalenes right here get really knotted up, and it's just like I don't feel it in that trap area at all. So I like to have a little bit of forward lean. How do you do?
I mostly just make a face.
I mean,
just go like, "Ugh."
do you really need any bigger neck and trap stuff?
It's kind of the only big looking muscle I've got.
So I had a question like from one of my clients that was just like, oh, like in hypertrophy and during the accessory stuff, is my goal like to get really like super strong in each lift, or like, you know, get muscular? I'm like, well, the goal is to get muscular. You don't need to be doing like your 2 to 3 reps in reserve shouldn't be like you're doing 1 rep of the lift. So make sure like you're picking a weight where you're actually able to feel the muscle work and you're getting, you know, a good pump.
What are you charging for that onesie?
Not enough. So I actually did have somebody DM me after Worlds and asked to buy my singlet if I hadn't washed it, and how much I would charge for that, which I thought was like, A, who would want that? Gross, but what is the going rate for that?
Oh, we're just kink shaming around here. Just kink shaming people who want sweaty singlets. It's funny because, you know, as you were saying that at first, I was like, let me give this person the benefit of the doubt, and like, oh, they're just like a real powerlifting enthusiast collecting memorabilia. But then as soon as it's as long as you haven't washed it part,
Yeah.
it's gross. It's gross.
When choosing your accessory stuff, I always tell people to look at like what your day is consisting of. So let's just say it's a lower day and you have squats and deadlifts and really big, heavier compound movements. Are you gonna want to then pick like a lunge, which is gonna have like maybe an easier setup, like a dumbbell lunge, or you know, going into like a leg press or a belt squat, also dependent on what you have available. But just look at what your day is looking like and what you're most likely to actually do, given like, you know, time constraints and just fatigue. If you're just tired, you're more likely to maybe do dumbbell rows. Easier to grab a dumbbell versus doing bent over rows, because it's going to require a little bit more setup time. And also do your weaker side first. This way you can get the most out of the movement and you're not already pre-fatigued before you get to that weak side. You want to come spot my bicep curling? Should be like a like a Flex magazine cover shoot.
Yeah. Pump it, Iron Sister.
So the other thing, if your workout is taking 3 hours, really look at how long you're taking between, not only like sets of like the same thing, but in between each exercise. So I look so jacked though. That hurt. It almost cramped. Ready? I just got my nails done, so I don't know.
So it's high risk.
High risk. Top tip, when you're doing plyo push-ups, like make sure like you have the balls of your feet planted, because as you're going up, you're almost kind of propelling yourself off of your feet, and that's gonna like help you get enough height.
My whole body off the ground here, huh?
Well, I'm just doing clapping moves.
How many push-ups can you do?
I have done 100 push-ups in 1 minute. But I've done 500 as a workout before. It's really hard to get to 500 push-ups. It took me 45 minutes to get to 500. I also did that when I was pregnant, but it's probably kind of cheating because you don't have to go down as far, stomach starts hitting the ground. Like if you feel like your feet are sliding back, you can always kind of go up against like a wall or something, you know, that's gonna keep your feet in place so that you're not sliding backwards. Also, if clapping intimidates you when you're first starting out, you can simply just catch air like that so that your hands are never leaving the floor. And then just work your way up. And done. Took 42 minutes. Thank you guys so much for watching and tuning into my training. If you want to get strong, you want to get spicy with me, go to juggernautai.app, get 2 weeks free, and join the strongest team.